On our interview segment this week, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Robert Clarke, is our guest. In this interview, we talk about the ministerial list and what criteria some of the nominees must meet. I want us to talk about the ministerial list. Different reactions have continued to trail it. Some people have hailed the list, some people have criticized it. Some people say that it shouldn't have taken this long for us to get the kind of names that we're finally getting. But what do you make of the ministerial list?
Well, let me first start on these premises. The Constitution as it is today does not necessarily compel Mr. President to appoint ministers. If you look at the Constitution, Section 5 of the Constitution says, upon the President winning an election, declaring his assets and taking his oath of office, he shall be in full control of all executive powers, which means all executive powers in the Federal Republic of Nigeria are vested in Mr. President. The only position which the law recognizes in the ministerial list is that of an Attorney General, which he, as President, cannot keep to himself. So what it means in law is that he may not need to use a minister for any purpose. Really? It is where he feels that he cannot fully and effectively exercise all his executive powers without delegating some of it, he's enjoined then to appoint ministers. So in the present circumstance, you will watch that it took him 4 months. Many people are saying, why should it take 4 months? But if you notice also, which many people maybe did not notice, those period of 4 months, he was liaising with the permanent secretaries, knowing what is happening in each ministry, so that by the time he appoints a minister, they will not come and tell him, oh, the problem I made here is this, the problem, so, because he's already seized of all the facts in all the ministries. So he has diligently studied all the problems. So when he appoints somebody there, and he comes to tell him a difference, so he says, look, come. I already know what your problems are.
Can you educate us, please? What's the laid down process that the Senate has to follow in screening these nominees, and under what circumstances can they reject a nominee?
You see, if you follow what goes on in different parts of the world, in civilized countries, this appointment, when it goes to the Senate has to scrupulously, without prejudice, without bias, screen a prospective ministerial appointee. In doing so, the general concept of decency, the general concepts of morality, the general concepts of everything that the country demands of a man will come into consideration. But mind you, before anybody is sent to the Senate, the presidency itself will have done a due diligence on them. The security will have looked into their past, EFCC will have said something, whatever agency, they must have been scrutinized. So take it that all those people that are being sent to the Senate have already passed through this test. Now, what is the test in the Senate? The test in the Senate is not to allow politics now to come into it, because you must set aside political destiny. But knowing Nigeria and knowing what has been happening within the last 4 months, they are going to bring in politics. And once they bring in politics, they lose their balance.
But under what circumstances can they reject a nominee?
Oh, many circumstances. If it's an ex-convict, for instance, which is unknown, like Ibori was an ex-convict before, and it was not known. So if you have evidence that a prospective appointee is an ex-convict, you put it to him. If he is a bankrupt and he has declared bankruptcy either in England or somewhere else, you bring it to him. Many instances can come up. But if you are only basing it on political considerations, then you will have misfire.
One controversy that this list has generated is whether the president can nominate his nominees in batches, as he has done with this present list.
The area of exercising executive power is solely that of Mr. President. The way and manner he does it, the only restriction is that when he appoints, he must ensure that the geographical spread covering that is done. So the manner he does it, the time he does it, is purely his own initiatives.
What about the argument that he does not have to fulfill the constitutional provision which states that he must appoint ministers from the 36 states at a go, that he can work with this 21 and at a later date, say 10 months, 5 months down the line, he can then appoint the remaining 15?
The Constitution says you must. Now you are not appointing 36. Yes. So arithmetically, nobody can tell you that, why are you not taking from my state? Because now 21 out of 36 is maybe 2/3. Now, you are going to exclude about 15 states. Yes. And if you complain your state is excluded, then they will ask you, what about this state also? What about this state? So, in law, nothing stops him from keeping 21 ministers. But Mr. President said, look, I am sending this as a first batch. So he has given the intimation that another batch is coming.
What criteria do you think that the Senate should use in screening all of these people, especially the AGF?
The law is that the lawyer must have practiced for 15 years. That is the background. Any lawyer with a background of 15 years of practice is entitled to be appointed. What criteria now is another thing. But one thing I know, you must have an input from the Bar Association. Because the Bar Association has its disciplinary, body. You ask from them, this person I want to appoint, do you have any comma against his name? As a legal practitioner. Then you go to the Judicial Service Commission too. You ask them, look, there is a lawyer we intend to appoint. Do you have anything against his name? So when you do your due diligence on that, whether he's been a good lawyer, whether he has no chamber, all those are petty matters. Whether he has no background, maybe he's a professor in the university, all those does not. The important thing to the Senate is to ensure that he's a man of good caliber, his background is okay, and he's a lawyer, not a fake lawyer, and
The list, as it's presently constituted, looking at the names on the list, would you say that we're getting the change that this government came to power on the back of?
I don't see anything wrong in the list. These are men who have served Nigeria in different capacities. In different capacities. Is it Amechi? Is it Ngige? They have served as governors. Any Nigeria, as chief executive of his state for 3, 4, 5, 6 to 8 years, must have, got a lot of experience. Experience in the administration, experience in the project analysis, many things. So they are all capable. Or is it the lady who successfully in Taraba became the gubernatorial candidate of her party and narrowly lost the election? What more experience do you want a woman to have more than that? To have been able, in the midst of men, to be nominated, you give kudos to her. That is the type of people we want. I don't see anything wrong with anybody.
But the fact that it doesn't include more women or maybe more younger people might be...
Look, I think there are about 3 or 4 women on the list. The problem is with you women. We are not saying this is a man's world, but whether you like it or not, it is a man's world. But if women want to be seen and heard, the problem is that they should use women who are in majority to make sure that women are, lifted up. But instead of women lifting women up, they will want to bring women down. Now, I'm not saying women are so bad, but the same women, instead of lifting women up, we want to bring them down, and they will lift the man up. The problem is with the women.
What about the youth who say they're not being fairly represented?
Their time is coming. You see, there is time for everything. The youth who wants to become a big man today, what will he do? After 8 years in government, he will be about 42. Then he still has a lifespan of another 40 years. No, there is time for everything. The youth of today, when they're in their early 50s or late 50s, will have the same opportunity. The older ones will have gone and passed, and they will take over. Their time is coming.
This is where we wrap up this episode of the program. Do let's continue the conversation online. Also remember that you can find these and past episodes of the program on our YouTube channel. I am Shola Sheyeli. Thank you for watching.